live at Mandalay Bay with Nick French. Nicholas, let's ask you, what is, we're here, obviously, at Mandalay Bay for the 2015 NAHA Awards, as well we're presenting this year with Matrix. What does this all mean to you, and why is it so special to you?
NAHA, I have a great history with NAHA. For many years I've been involved in it when it wasn't even at this location, actually, and I love it to death, and I'm so pleased that Matrix had decided to present here. I presented about 7 years ago. I did a presentation between all the different segments, and that was great fun, and it was really cool. So I'm pleased to be here. I think it's a very edgy experience we're going to have.
Yeah, edgy's a good word. So, listen, I remember being here with you in 2006. There was 6 people here with you. There was you, your wife, me, your photographer Joseph Cartwright,
that's right,
and then two of your friends, Tracy and Brian Greaves.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? How crazy it is to see, like, last year, how many people were here in all of NAHA, but even more so, how many people are here from, like, the L'Oreal family and Matrix? What does that mean to you? Because you kind of started this whole thing.
Yeah, it's sort of huge because I'm not very good at competitions. I'm a really bad loser. So, and my wife said to me, Carol said to me, go in for it. So, no 6. Funny, when we worked together, and you came to the studio and you saw me shooting avant-garde, and there were sort of very pasty white, almost nude girls with sort of Chinese kind of avant-garde hairstyles, and
I had no idea what avant-garde was.
No, and you said, I think your words were, I don't know what this beep beep is, but I'd love to get into it, and I love to do, avant-garde work. Moving forward 6 years, I'm on the stage in 2012, and I won avant-garde in 2012. And halfway through my speech, because you have to say a few corporate things, I suddenly remembered, actually, this is wonderful because there's somebody sitting in the finalists arena, and there's only 5 of us all together, and that person was the person who came into my studio in 2006, didn't know what he was doing, where he was going with hair, as far as avant-garde was concerned, a great colorist and a cutter, of course, and the rest is history. So you feel very privileged to be part of your journey, even if it's 5%.
You've been a huge part of my journey as well. No, and I think it's crazy. Like for me, being nominated this year, 2 times in a row now, and 3 overall for avant-garde. No, I feel like it's a great way to put the ripple effect, the legacy, as we talk about, of what you've laid down. And as I've told you, I think that it's like, while you're not on that stage this weekend, you are, because you're a part of me, and vice versa. And I just think it's cool to see the legacy be able to be passed on from what you've set a precedence of, and to carry it. So I thank you for that, because I truly would not be doing, especially this category, let's be honest, without a lot of your guidance and help. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
so that's pretty cool.
Thank you for that. But I think it's important, Chris, that and my father was a great hairdresser, and he used to say to me, Nick, you've really got to leave behind. He was a great believer in the industry, and he wanted to move it in the whole echelon to raise the bar. So hairdressers are recognised by the public as being really creative people. And he always used to say to me, put your hand out and help people and bring them forwards and let them have your experience so you can add to what they know as professional hairdressers. And then the whole industry will gain, not because I'm so good, it's because I've been hairdressing 50 years. So there's a lot of information that I've got that a lot of you guys haven't got, so I want to give it to you so you can move forwards and move the industry forwards, because it's really what people in my era, and lots of people like Martin Parsons, Atlanta Mascola, Trevor Sorby, all these people, it's what we leave behind. It's actually more important sometimes to what we do today, and I think that's important for our industry.
No, and I think you guys have really instilled that in like the next generation, my generation, which we try and instill to the next generation under us. But I think that's a huge thing to instill is give credit where credit's due, own what you do, and make it your own, and pass it on.
Yeah, make it your own, and, and pass it on and develop it. It's like I'm always trying to develop new things. So I know, and we work together all the time. And I think this weekend's going to be great because we're doing the graffiti presentation. And it's really, that's the inspiration, isn't it? But we've taken it to a different place. I know you have.
Very different place.
Very different place.
No, and it's exciting. It's exciting to see 7 artistic directors from Matrix come together under, one amazing concept and take it from, what used to be something that's street and really raw into something that now you see like a Banksy getting hundreds of thousands of dollars for art. And so graffiti's changed, and I think it's what you take from it, the elements. Like in anything we do in here, it's like, what do you take the elements from, and how do you translate that to the salon? How do you translate that to make money? How do you translate that to inspire people? And I think it'll definitely be something that'll be inspiring tonight.
Oh yeah, and
yeah.
I think it's moving forwards. I mean, I've just been researching, as you know, great artists and who were the graffiti mode, and one of the greatest artists ever was Jackson Pollock.
Yeah.
And actually went to his home to the exhibition and saw what was left on the floor, and I thought, ooh, perhaps I can bring that to the table. And now I'm developing it, and you were the first people to see it today. It's developing on now. But I mean, that's an inspiration to me, so hopefully that'll be an inspiration to other hairdressers.
No, and it's so cool for me. It's so cool to watch. I mean, obviously we're both very driven people, but to see your legacy, your age, to be as driven and still not settled into the comfort zone, which I think a lot of people, I mean, I've done it. I've settled in, you've settled in at different points, but to see where you're at right now and really pushing past what you've developed and to try new things is so cool.
Well, I think,
and it's so gratifying to watch.
It's funny, I was doing a talk to some young people the other day, and they didn't really get what I was saying. I was, God bless them. And I said, how do you say in simple words what we do,
Good luck. If you figure that out, can you tell me?
And so I said, the word life, And I said a lot of people, when they take if out of life, they say, if only I'd done this, if only I'd, if only I'd been as lucky as that person, if only I'd been, all these sort of negative things, And I thought, well, why don't we change the if into innovate fearlessly, yeah? And also the LE, which is what's left of the life word, really love everybody, love everything, And I mean, if you terrible things, you take the F out, it's lie. Do you know that? It's really, I thought about what was that about? And I put the F back in again. That was a close one. But seriously, it's got so much in just the words life.
You're so cute. I love you.
But, and they said, oh, okay, that's what it's about. I said, yeah, you have to be uncomfortable to learn something new.
No, it's true.
And I always say to myself, and I saw this on the store once, when was the last time did I create something new for the first time? Remember that?
Man, that's like I've heard this somewhere.
I keep reminding myself.
No, but it's true.
About it,
it's true.
And don't imitate, innovate. Yeah. And that's another. Actually, now I rest my case with that, because sometimes you have to imitate first before you innovate. You have to. You know what I mean? And it's like Picasso said, who's an amazing man, and he said, really good artists don't borrow ideas; they steal them. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really cool for us. And make it your own, like you said before.
I love it in the industry.
Make it your own, take it away.
No, and I love it in the industry because people talk about stealing clients, or you stole my client. Nobody can steal anything, really. I mean, you're going to take things, and we all take things from each other, and that's the beauty of it. And I think the biggest thing is making it your own. But it's how you make it your own and leaving that credible legacy of where did it come from? Because I didn't just jump into this industry and know the stuff I know. I was, I had amazing people around me, as you've had amazing people around you, and I think that's how we don't forget where we've been, but also, we're going different places as well. So let me ask you this: if you had one thing, because we get this all the time, I get this question all the time. If you had one thing to tell you, if you could have you sitting here at a young age, young like me. If you could have you sitting here,
years,
right? Well, Nick, you've done hair longer than I've been alive. I just want to put that in reality here.
Yeah, 50 years.
You've done hair longer than I've been alive, so you definitely have a lot of credibility. If you could tell yourself, let's say 30 years old, when you got into this business, what you know now, what would be the one thing you would tell yourself, your younger self, and other hairdressers that would be something that you would want to know moving forward? What would it be?
What I would want to know forwards, I want to know everything moving forwards. I want to know. It's like my first hair show I ever went to as a cocky young London kid. My dad went with me. My dad was a famous hairdresser, and it's the way you learn and the way you teach is two things really important. And the way you learn is like my dad said to me, Nick, did you like what that Silvio Camilo hairdresser did? And I said, no, I didn't. And he said, you went to the destination without taking the journey. Did you see the way he stood? Did you see the way he moves his scissors, his shears? Did you see the way he set the hair? Did you see how beautifully he brushed it out? I said, I didn't like the hairstyle. He says, that's not the point. And I really want to be able to teach in a wonderful way that's not aggressive. It really helps people come up. And people didn't teach me; they were brutal. They said, "This is wrong. This is right. This is wrong. This is right." My first haircut at Sassoon's, when I passed my test, took me 6.5 hours. And I didn't pass my test. They told me this is the worst haircut they'd ever seen in their lives. And I cried all the way home, So I eventually passed 5 times later, that's what I was meant to say. Because, I thought it was perfect. And I did it with the mirror, with the girl was sitting in front of me like that. And they said, no. And they put the mirror underneath.
Changes everything.
And he looks like chop suey. It was like, it wasn't, it was horrible. And I think it's a matter of what you've got to be very, very hungry every day of your life. And even you have to go through bad days to get to good days. Sometimes you have a lot of bad days. But you've got to really be positive and really just shrug your shoulders off when you do something that's not right and just move on to the next thing. Or think about something else sometimes. You have to go through bad times all the time.
No, I think you have to have a good day. You have to have a bad day to know what a good day is. And, sad but true, most of the things I've learned in life, you are usually what people consider a failure. Somebody considers something that was bad time in your life, and you can dwell on that, right? I mean, everybody has things they could dwell on, but I think it's what do you do with it and what's going to push you forward and what's the conscious decision to move forward and do something for you in your life.
I always think you've really got to reach for the moon, and you might catch a star on the way down. Go for broke every time. Why would you? Life's very short. Why would you want to be sitting around thinking, perhaps I'll wait and think? No, don't. Just do it. Just don't think about it. Do it, and see what the results are, and just analyze who you are and what you are. It's a journey of emotion, hairdressing. As a hair cutter, if you're angry, you get an angry haircut. If you're happy, you get a happy haircut.
I've had a few of those.
It's that sensitive, and I think that's very important to understand, to make young people understand that it's not just, it's like art. It's like art. It's like, Picasso drew amazing paintings through so many different periods, so many different attitudes, and then other people after him did amazing things where they didn't like figurative, so they just threw paint on canvas and to experiment, to see what they could do, how they could change art, and how people could respect artists. Pollock's paintings sold for 18.2 million 6 weeks ago, and he died poor at 44, but just the idea. It's not the painting. Splashes of paint, nice looking, interesting, but it's not the painting. It's having the idea. And if you have the idea, and you can self-start your creative engine. That's the thing. To be an artist, you have to self-start your creative engine. You can copy so much, but then you have to have, wow, I like that idea. I'm going to take it. I'm going to use it. I'm going to create something amazing. And it will come like, self-raising flower to the top of the cake, really. You've got to think, but you've got to really think about how can you achieve it? How can you create something new that nobody else has done? And that's the only way you're going to change the industry and take it to a higher level. And I think it's getting there, but it's slow, It's slow, And I think there's a final thing from my point of view. I was in a country, I won't mention where it is, and they interviewed me after my show, and then the last person interviewing me said, Nicholas, why does somebody of your age come to our country and teach our young people how to do hair? And years ago I would have said something immediately, but I didn't. I said, oh, that's a good question, thank you for your question. And I thought, ooh, how can I answer that question? So I looked out the window in this beautiful country, and I saw a Calvin Klein ad, and it had a girl and a boy who was sort of topless. And I said, can I ask you a question? So the interpreter did the language thing. And I said, yeah. I said, how old do you think Calvin Klein is? And they said, we don't know. I said, he's 64. I said, how old do you think Valentino is? He's 83. How old do you think Ralph Lauren is? 62, How old do you think even Alexander McQueen was 45 or whatever it was? And I said, do you think they've had any influence on young people? And I said, what's the difference between a couturier dressed as, and who I love clothes, by the way, I love them to death. I said, but they can cut and colour fabric, yeah? We actually have to stand behind a live human being and create a fabric out of their hair. And basically we can change their lives with our hands and a pair of shears and a colouring brush or whatever we have. And that's the difference. It's colossal. And I think that's how important we are in the big picture, as professional hairdressers.
No, I think that's a great point. And then dealing with people's personalities as well, which, I think is so different than inanimate object, right? I mean, because we've all had that experience where something's gone incredible who've also had that experience where you put something on somebody, you're like, that just did not work, right? So I think we're also dealing in the personality avenue, which is very interesting as well, and very unique for our industry as opposed to the rest of the industries out there. So
yeah, it's like my dad used to say: if you don't understand the inside of a client's head, you're never going to get the outside right. And as he left the room, he said, "Good luck."
Yeah.
Isn't that so true, though?
No, it's very true. It's very true.
You can do the most fabulous haircut and colour on somebody, and you never see them again in your life.
That's true.
He's on the wrong hat and the wrong person. Yeah?
So anything else you want to say?
Well, there's so much, so little time, and
Yeah.
I got to do hair, but it's
I think
hair. When I'm in the hairdressing salon in the sky, in the future, I'm looking down. I'm going to see people like Chrystofer here, leading the pack and doing hopefully an amazing job, which he always has done. I think taking this industry to probably to a different place, rather like the couturiers have all the press go to the runway shows. And they're all running down there with ponytails. Oh, that's a new hair fashion. Please, it's not. It might be a mood. It might be something. That it's a feeling. It's a mood that might sort of, renovate, through the world. But at the same time, we're the hairdressers. Give us credit for that. We're the people who are trained to do this incredible job. And I think that's something we've got to really think about for the future.
Yep.
So people will be going to runway shows, but their hair will be really directed by hairdressers and really be part of the whole fashion scene and be respected at that same level.
Yep.
And I think if I could see that in my lifetime, I'd be a very, very happy man, because I think that's what I've always believed in. My dad always believed that. He was the first hairdresser to go from England to do a French runway show in Paris. They wouldn't lend him a hairdryer or anything. He had to ship it all over. They were so jealous. It was Madame Grey, and he came into this beautiful hair. And then they started talking to him, and then he started getting involved, and then he went back to England, and he got all kinds of societies for hairdressers. He helped, found British Intercoiffeur. He was there for 6 years as president. He really galvanized hairdressers to be proud of who they were and what they do, which in those days was tough. And they were almost like servants. And I think in the future, now we've got to this stage, it needs to be taken to the next level. And we need people with courage and fortitude who can really negotiate their hairdresser into a better place in society.
No, I think it makes incredible sense. So I'm gonna say this because we had a moment last year where you actually gave the Avant-Garde Award away, and I didn't win again. I think I've lost more times than I've won.
I was trying to change the name, but they caught me.
But I just want to say.
No.
No, I just want to say, that was a moment for me that I would have loved, just for the opportunity to, thank you for all the stuff you've done for me and the influence, because, as we met, I was a cutter, a colorist, I did no avant-garde work. Yeah. So to be in this, again, this year is just beyond crazy for me. But I want you to know something. I want you to really, really realize, and I hope you guys hear the history that Nick talks about and the legacy that he has come from. But I also want you to realize the legacy you've created. And from the bottom of my heart, I want you to really, really resonate this, because I don't think you give yourself enough credit. I think that you really, look to your dad, and I know how big of an influence he is, and you give him so much credit. I think you got to give yourself as much credit for what you do and the influence you've created, the mark you've made, and the people that you've passed it on to, because I'm one sitting here.
Oh, I love it.
And to mirror back to you what you've done.
I hope tomorrow night you'll make the right decision.
I hope the third time's the charm, Nick. So seriously, from the bottom of my heart, and there's many people that would say that same thing. I just want you to know how much we love you, how much we respect you, and how much of an honor, on a daily basis that I can pick up a phone and know that you're there. Right. That's an amazing thing. But to be able to work on stages, work backstage with you, what a ride. What a ride.
Fun. I think it's a joy as well to know that people in our industry have got the enthusiasm to move it forwards and get excited about new things, and to take information and use it.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Like my wife, who always used to say, Carol always used to say, "Oh no, don't show anybody that." It's sort of what I do.
It's kind of what we do.
Oh, they're copying us. That's fabulous, you know.
It's the biggest form of flattery, though, Nick.
It doesn't look like what I said. It doesn't happen because they're a different brand. No. Because everybody in this industry is a different brand. I wouldn't finish hair off the same way as Chris does. No. And it might be the same sort of mood, but he wouldn't do it the same way as me. It's vice versa, because at the end of the destination is your brand, the way you are, who you are, and what you do, and how you do it, and the way you feel you want to present it. And I think that's very important, you know.
And listen to what he's saying, because it's really about owning your brand, and you need to really understand what your brand is, because if you don't understand what your brand is, you're going to be lost in this industry. And when you can identify what your brand is and know what you want to be putting out into this industry, it lets you drive so much faster, quicker, harder, and really circle the people around you that can help you get to those places. And there's people out there that will love you and care enough about you to help you, but you got to go do the work, and you got to get out there and try to align with those people. But they're there. I'm living proof of it. You got great people like this out there in the industry, and you know, it's all about helping each other. It's all about raising the bar in this industry, and you can hear the legacy this guy has come from. You can hear the legacy he's created, and being able to pass it on to you know, people like myself. I'm just honored. I'm privileged, and I thank you.
I'm so pleased that one of the first times I went to NAHA in America, I flew from England, and I think there was 50 people there. And it was in San Diego, actually. And I thought, oof, and I had to give an award away and everything. And I went up and I said, this is an amazing idea. It's a great concept. And I really wanted this thing to grow. I wanted it to be, you know, like a creative force of people getting together, which it really has become. And we're going to have like 4,500 people there tomorrow night.
Unbelievable.
Hairdressers, and we're going to have so many nominated hairdressers, so many great winners. And it's like a wonderful Oscars of our industry. And, you know, I expect to see this really grow to 10, 15, 20,000 hairdressers. And then they get the bug, then they start doing photographs, you know, doing photographic work, which is your biggest critic. The eye of the camera will really tear you apart and really show you how you really have to do your hair and how you have to move forwards with your own career and everything else. And publicity now is incredible, you know. In my days, you know, you had to all look at through a camera upside down when I started, you know.
They were painting the magazines then, right?
Yeah, they did drawings before. Remember, you came to my house, you saw it. They did drawings before they did photographs.
I know.
In my dad's time. So now, to that point, everybody has the opportunity of photographing their own work, getting it published, getting their brand noticed by the world of hairdressers, and especially by the world out there, to get their clients into the salon, knowing that they're special because they've really put out their lives. And it's all about emotion. It's about giving yourself to the industry. You're not going to do it by turning up at 9 and leaving at 5 in the afternoon. You're not going to do it like that. You're going to have to work, eat, sleep, drink, hairdressing 24 hours a day, and that's 7 days a week, and that's the only way you're going to become successful.
Yeah, it's really not a career. It's more of a lifestyle. It's more of a lifestyle, without question.
Before my mother passed away, she said, you should have been a doctor. I said, why? Because, you know, and this was a few years ago, she says, you're 65 years old, you're playing with dolls in the basement. You know, and I said, yeah, because I want to try new techniques out with hair, you know. And she never got it past her head. She died at 91. She was an amazing person. And she never could get it around her head that I was still playing with hair and looking at things and running back, you know. I went to Jamaica for a holiday and I came back with a dried palm leaf, you know, like a branch, and I ran downstairs at 3 in the morning. I got my irons out and I started working with irons, and I found this actually could bend the palm leaves. I thought, my goodness, I can lay hair on top of it and I can do amazing avant-garde hair, right? Yeah. You know, and then we went to London, the alternative, didn't we? And we did some great things, you know, for leukemia, also for ourselves, because you're taking the next step, and you've got to be, and you know, you're terrified. Every time you go on stage, you're terrified. Every time you do hair, if you really want to push the envelope, you absolutely have to do it fearlessly, without reserve, and without feeling for what you're going to feel like, because, you know, at the end of the day, it's got to be something really fresh, something really new, something that people can use and dilute and trickle down to the salons, to the client, looking in the mirror when you're standing behind the chair.
I think that's I think that's incredible advice, and I think that's I mean, we're here at Naha. I think that's something that people need to think about Naha. I mean, while it's a competition, you're really competing against yourself. I mean, I mean, we're in the same category. It's and have been numerous times. And for us, it's yes, you're competing, but you're really competing against yourself. And I think you got to be really incredibly proud of what you walk in there with, and when you walk out, whatever happens, you get the trophy, you don't get the trophy. It's the journey that you take, and you can hear the journey and the legacy and what he has. And I just think that you keep that in mind as you go into that. What you've created is definitely be proud of it and own it.
There you go. Yeah, I think that's about it for
Sums
this
it up.
episode.
All right.
It is a 16-week series.
We'll be back. We'll be back next week for a live show.
And our subject is.
No, it's been a pleasure. Thank you guys for letting us do the interview, and
Good luck, everybody out there.
yes.
Yeah? Good luck with your careers, and be proud of who you are. And you know what? It's wonderful to be a hairdresser, isn't it? It's great.
And we look forward to seeing you on the Naha stage. We'll see you at the presentation. Thank you.